Hi, this is Zach here with the Father's Day edition of the Bulletin Board Heroes here at Zach'sTradersCafe.com. It is Sunday, the 18th of June. Starting on with the FTSE 100, where we've been knocking on the door of that resistance line there around the 76.80 area. We've got the 50-day line around 77.20. Really want to see an end-of-day close above that 50-day line to give us the signal that there's a potential move to the upside. Obviously, we've hit that line from April already, and so hopefully next week we will break through it. Still waiting for a proper push for the RSI through neutral 50. It's just above that now, but we haven't been properly above that neutral 50 level since basically the end of April, so that is quite key in terms of driving fresh momentum. You could argue that both the 50 and 200-day moving averages are both rising at the moment, and the weekly close above the old April support are also pluses for this market. Through the 50-day line, obviously trying to retest the 7,900 plus area, still hoping and praying for a move up towards 8,300 in the top of that August 2022 rising trend channel sometime by the end of the summer, if we have a proper one, of course. Moving along to the DAX, which has been in much better form than the FTSE over the recent past. Nice close for this market, basically at and slightly above the May resistance, 16,300. Here we're looking for an end of July target here now as high as 17,200 at the top of that September 2022 rising trend channel on the downside. Now not expecting much less than the 16,000 area, which is basically the resistance for the end of May, beginning of June. I suppose if you're really cautious, you might have to factor in 15,700 and the turn of the month support, bear trap support for this market. On to the Dow, where there is relief in the air given the way that we've closed or been pushed above 34,000 and that April 2022 resistance line. Initial target here up to 34,800, which is a March resistance line projection. Big figure target over the summer up to 37,000, maybe by the end of August, something like that. And that is what we're looking for. Ideally now no break back below the 50-day line, currently around 33,600. We've had a bear trap below that at the turn of the month, but since then the market seems to be quite stable above that 50-day line. If there is a nightmare scenario, it would be that we would have to test the 200-day moving average and the floor of that rising trend channel from August one more time. Bitcoin is still the one that we're probably more concerned about than the indices at the moment. Here you can see that there has been a recovery, basically bouncing off the previously suggested new support for this market, which was old resistance, 25,000. Ideally, we don't have to go back below 25,000 again, and then we can proceed to retest April resistance at 30,000 plus. On the downside, if things do go wrong, it's down to around 23,800 and the 200-day moving average level. You can just see that the RSI is just coming up to the neutral 50 level, so probably a break above the 50-day moving average and above 27,000 would do the trick to get the momentum going there in a bullish way. Onto the stocks, and not that many actually, given the slightly positive or more positive tone for the market. Starting off with BSF, which has had its rather nasty retracement from the peak in February 24, basically halved that this week, bouncing off the, or just below 12 pence. 12 pence was the support in December, so it would make sense that finally we're going to have a turnaround from a 50% retracement. There's also bullish divergence in the RSI window, so lower lows for June, but higher RSI trace, so that maybe suggests that we're on our way in terms of breaking back above the 200-day moving average and at least heading back to the mid-teens. So the initial May resistance there around 16 pence, and the late May resistance also just around that level too. So that would be the target for, well, hopefully by the end of this month. By the end, well, maybe 1 to 2 months, you could be back up to the top of that trend channel from last year as high as 24 pence, but obviously early days yet, and we need to be consistent above 16 pence for that. Rather bigger stock than we normally look at is coming up next at Darktrace, and a nice push through the 200-day moving average on Thursday, and it followed that very nicely. So that was it's always interesting when you have a straight first time move through the 200-day line, which we've got here. Not too much to look at in terms of where there may be a retracement to, possibly around the £3.30 area, which was resistance on the way down. Let's say, but while we're above £3.30, looking for 410 or 420 to retest the November resistance for this market, which is an interesting one there that we've had such a clean break to the upside. Moving along to Edenville, which is listed here as in Edenville. Obviously, it's going to be called Shuka Resources. Here we've hit our first target there, just around the 10 pence level and above that line there from December. Let's call it 9 3/4, looking for 16 pence at a July 2022 resistance line projection. Could see that as soon as the end of next month, particularly if that 200-day line starts to turn up as the 50-day line currently is. Stock which came to market very recently and seems to be improving steadily is Golden Metal here, but just about, well, actually, I suppose we've closed on the highest level that the shares have had in their short lifetime here. The rally from the lows around the 2.5 pence level, and so we'd be looking for a 2.5 pence breakout, which would probably take us to 11 or 12 pence, ideally by the end of next month. The more time we spend above that 200-day line, around 8.6 pence, the better for the charting prospects. And you can see that we had a bear trap gap reversal, so gapped up there back in the first week of this month, and we've held that gap, which is a pretty strong technical sign. Another stock that would normally not appear here, but we've got it on the basis of the charting, is Ocado. Here we've got a broadening triangle base, and here the situation is that we're covering it on the basis of the push through the 50-day moving average. We haven't been above that since February, which is quite significant. That's there around the 450 level. And also, if you look closely, there's been a bear trap gap reversal as well. So that suggests that there's plenty of momentum here in this situation. Just checking whether there was a gap to the downside there. 391.90 the low there, and 390.60. So it is a bear trap island reversal. And £6 the target there by the end of next month, while we hold above that 50-day line around the £4.50 level. Moving along to a stock which has been edging higher, even though there are one or two things that we're perhaps waiting for here. But neckline resistance, rather scraggy neckline resistance around 26 pence, and above that we're looking for 34 pence at that January resistance line there from the beginning of the year. Nicely weekly close at the highs and above that 200-day moving average, and an extended uptrend line in the RSI window, so that does give us the hint, with the 50-day line rising as well, that we could head to the mid-30s and obviously higher after that. On to Poolbeg, where I'm personally quite keen about the AI credentials, genuine AI credentials of the company. Golden cross over the last week, so that's sliding 50-day line, sliding through the rising 200-day line. That is pretty impressive. Above 9.5 pence, looking for as high as 13 pence by the end of next month. But obviously, if you're cautious, you can wait for an end-of-day close above that November resistance line before taking the plunge, if you have not already done so. On to Power Metal, which is also in recovery mode. Here, just about to break the resistance line there from January and the 50-day moving average around the 0.86 level. Above that, we're looking for the shares to basically retest the 200-day moving average area around 1.2 pence, perhaps as soon as the end of next month. Nice bounce for the RSI on the neutral 50 level as well, which tends to be a continuation signal for a stock or market. On to Predator, where I've suggested that it's amazing that the shares are so high given how many fundraisers they have. So obviously that has to be taken as a bullish sign. We've had a bear trap island reversal. So the lows there just in June going below the March support there. Currently got rising 50 and 200-day lines, and that suggests that we're just a week or two away from a golden cross, maybe 2 weeks, and the run up to a golden cross tends to be the strongest part in the cycle. So pretty exciting stuff here on a technical basis, at least. 11 pence the target, hopefully well before the end of next month, and the rise backed by the bullish divergence with the lower June low and the unfilled gap to the upside that we had over the past week. Just 3 stocks to go now. First one is Rurelec, which is looking remarkably sprightly. Here we've had a very sharp turnaround over the recent past, and it's hardly difficult to fit it onto the chart. In fact, breaking through the old resistance there from April last year at around 0.75 above that. We should be a bit of a slam dunk there up to a penny, hopefully by the end of next month. RSI bounce off the 50 level recently as well is another positive for the technicals. Moving on to a stock which has been questioned on a fundamental basis, but on the technicals looks to be very strong. Got a sideways consolidation above a rising 200-day moving average, which tends to be a pretty good setup, and rising trend channel from November above the 50-day line, 24 pence, 25 pence rather, looking for 40 pence by the end of next month. We normally see that progression 7, 10, 15, 25, 40 in stocks, and it looks as though this is going to fill out the last particular leg of that. Obviously, after 40, then you tend to get 60. So there we are. But above 25, looking for 40 on Windar Photonics. Finishing off with a stock which is perhaps not looking as wonderful as Windar is at the moment. Woodbois certainly been through the wars over the recent past. We've got the suspicion that we're in a rising trend channel base, hence the rising trend channel drawn from the end of April. If we can break through recent resistance around the 0.5 pence level, we have the best case scenario target as high as 0.7 pence by the end of next month, but it's probably advisable to wait for a nice and proper and clear clearance of 0.5 before assuming that the shares will head to 0.7. And the other thing to wait for, we've got the RSI at 47. Let's see if that can get above neutral 50, as we haven't been above that since April either. That's it for me today. More updates during the week.